Have you ever noticed how some of the deepest damage in life doesn't come from your enemies first? It comes from what you said too early. From the plan you shared before it had roots. From the weakness you revealed to someone who smiled while memorizing it. From the regret you confessed in a soft moment, only to hear it thrown back at you when the relationship changed. That is the part nobody tells you. Not every betrayal begins with hatred. Some betrayals begin with curiosity. With concern. With a friendly question asked at the right time by the wrong person. And that is why this conversation matters. Because in a loud world that rewards exposure, oversharing, emotional display, and constant self-disclosure, silence has become rare. And what is rare becomes power. The Stoics understood this in one way. Machiavelli understood it in another. The Stoics taught inner command. Machiavelli exposed outer deception. Put them together, and you begin to see modern life for what it is, a stage full of smiling faces, hidden appetites, and quiet calculations. In this video, we are going to walk through 7 things you must never reveal too freely, not because you should live in fear, and not because every person around you is evil, but because too many people are unstable, insecure, strategic, or hungry in ways they do not even admit to themselves. And near the end, I'm going to show you the one secret people confess when they are trying to feel lighter, but what actually happens is that they hand another person the blade that will later be used to cut them open. So stay with me. Because this is not about becoming cold for the sake of coldness. It is about becoming precise. It is about learning what to protect. And in a society built on performance, that may be one of the last forms of real strength left. Before we begin, let's set the expectation clearly. This is not a video about paranoia. It is not a call to become isolated, bitter, or emotionally dead. It is a call to become disciplined with access. There is a difference. A weak man tells everybody everything because he wants relief. A manipulative man tells people only what helps him gain advantage. But a grounded man, one who has suffered enough to understand the cost of exposure, learns something deeper. He learns that privacy is not dishonesty. Privacy is stewardship. Privacy is boundary. Privacy is self-respect. The modern world tells you that authenticity means constant transparency. That if you do not display everything, you must be hiding something. That if you are not posting your struggle, announcing your goals, explaining your emotions, or narrating your pain in public, then you are somehow less honest. But the Stoic does not confuse exposure with truth. And the Machiavellian does not confuse visibility with power. One protects the inner life. The other studies the outer game. Together, they reveal something uncomfortable. People do not merely listen to what you reveal. They position themselves around it. They compare against it. They react to it. They calculate what it means for them. And sometimes, when the moment changes, they use it. So today, we are going deeper than surface advice. We are not just saying, be private. We are uncovering why certain information changes the way people treat you, how oversharing weakens your frame, and what happens in real life when your story escapes your control. These 7 areas are where people destroy their momentum without realizing it. Not because they are foolish. Because they want connection. Because they want support. Because they want to be understood. And that human hunger, when placed in the wrong hands, becomes a liability. Let's begin with the first mistake almost everybody makes when they are about to change their life. 1. Never reveal your next move too early. There is a moment before every real transformation when your life is still fragile. Nothing is visible yet. The results are not there. The proof is not there. You only have a decision, a direction, and a little fire inside you. That stage is sacred. And that is exactly why it is so dangerous to talk too much during it. A lot of people sabotage themselves because they mistake announcing a move for making one. They tell people they are leaving the job. They tell people they are starting the company. They tell people they are going back to school, moving states, rebuilding their body, ending a relationship, changing their circle, quitting the addiction, or beginning again. And at first, it feels good. You feel seen. You feel encouraged. You feel like the future is already becoming real because somebody heard it and reacted. But then the other side begins. The subtle questions. The small doubts disguised as care. The skeptical smile. The pause before the response. The tone that says, "I don't know if you're really that kind of person." That is how a lot of dreams die. Not under attack. Under atmosphere. A person does not always need to insult you directly to weaken you. Sometimes they only need to place hesitation in the room. Sometimes they only need to remind you of the version of yourself that failed before. Sometimes they only need to ask, "Are you sure?" in the exact tone that makes you feel foolish for believing in your own future. And if you've lived long enough, you already know what this feels like. You tell a friend you're thinking about launching something of your own. Not because you need permission, but because part of you wants support. They lean back and say, "That's a big risk right now." Then they start listing practical concerns. Rent. Healthcare. The economy. Competition. Timing. Family pressure. They present it like wisdom. And maybe some of it is rational. But something in you knows that what just entered the room was not clarity. It was weight. Or maybe you tell family that you're done living the life they approved for you. You want a different road now. A road they do not understand. And within minutes, your vision is no longer about possibility. It is about defending yourself. Now you are explaining instead of building. Now you are managing their anxiety instead of protecting your own momentum. This is one of the oldest games in the world. People say they support your growth until your growth forces them to examine their own stagnation. They say they want what is best for you until best for you begins to look like separation, independence, or power. Then suddenly your dream feels inconvenient. Now your next move threatens their emotional comfort. Now your change exposes their excuses. That is why silence matters. Not because your vision is weak. Because it is still becoming. A blueprint is most vulnerable before the walls go up. A mission is most vulnerable before it becomes undeniable. And most people reveal far too much in the stage where their inner world still needs protection. The Stoic response is simple. Work before words. Structure before speech. Action before announcement. Machiavelli would recognize this immediately. Not because he worshipped deception for its own sake, but because he understood perception. He understood that once people think they know your direction, they begin adjusting their behavior around it. Some delay you. Some compete with you. Some imitate you. Some quietly hope you fail so they can feel stable again. So why feed them the script before the performance is even ready? In America especially, people are encouraged to brand themselves early. To talk like the result before the result exists. To perform ambition publicly. To narrate the process in real time. But there is a hidden cost to public ambition when it matures too slowly. You become easy to monitor. Easy to mock. Easy to doubt. Easy to interrupt. The more strategic path is different. Build quietly. Test privately. Fail in rooms nobody can weaponize. Learn without an audience. Move in a way that leaves people confused until the result is already standing in front of them. Because once the move is complete, the conversation changes. Now they are not judging a possibility. They are reacting to a fact. That is a different position entirely. So if you are in a season of change, protect it. Do not explain your next move to people who have not earned access to your becoming. Let them think you are still where you were. Let them underestimate your timing. Let them assume nothing is happening. Then let the finished result speak with a voice no explanation could ever match. 2. Never hand the wrong person your weakness. There is a kind of honesty that heals. And there is a kind of honesty that exposes you before you are ready. The tragedy is that many people do not learn the difference until it costs them something. Most weakness does not become dangerous because it exists. It becomes dangerous when it is placed in careless hands. A lot of people grow up believing that if they are open enough, vulnerable enough, emotionally transparent enough, the world will meet them with compassion. And sometimes it does. Sometimes the right person listens carefully, holds what you say with dignity, and never uses it against you. But not everybody has that kind of character. And not everybody who comforts you is safe. Some people listen like allies, but store information like archivists. They remember your insecurities. They remember what makes you feel small. They remember what happened to you when you were hurt, abandoned, humiliated, or ashamed. And they do not always know in that exact moment that they may use it later. But once conflict comes, many people reach instinctively for whatever gives them power. And suddenly your honesty becomes their leverage. Maybe you've seen it. You opened up to a partner about something you were still working through. You trusted the moment. It felt intimate. You thought, finally, I can stop carrying this alone. And months later, in the middle of a fight, the exact wound you revealed comes back wearing a different face. Now it is not being held. Now it is being used. Or maybe it was a friend. You told him what you were struggling with: confidence, money, panic, the part of you that still felt behind in life. He nodded. He acted supportive. Then later, when tension rose, he made one joke in front of the group. One joke that landed too precisely to be random. And in that second, you realized something brutal. He had been listening, yes, but he had also been mapping. This is why a disciplined life requires emotional boundaries, not just emotional depth. The Stoics were not telling you to become numb. They were teaching mastery. Marcus Aurelius did not advocate dramatizing pain for an audience. He practiced governing the self from within. There is a reason people who have survived real hardship often become quieter with age. It is not because they feel less. It is because they have learned the cost of unrestricted access. Machiavelli would push this further. He would tell you that once another person understands the variable that destabilizes you, they possess influence over your reactions. And once they can reliably trigger you, they begin to control the field. Not always openly. Sometimes with timing. Sometimes with suggestion. Sometimes with tone. Sometimes with one sentence spoken at the exact moment you are trying to stand tall. This is not theory. This is life. Think about the last time someone used your own words against you. Think about the last time a family member mocked a fear you once confided. Think about the ex who knew precisely what to say because you taught them where the wound was. Think about how much pain is caused not by strangers discovering your weakness, but by familiar people being given access before they had earned the right to carry it. That is the real lesson. Your weakness is not public material. It is not a social offering. It is not a performance for sympathy. It is a private site of work. Heal there. Train there. Strengthen there. If you need help, seek help from people with discipline, discretion, and character. A therapist. A seasoned mentor. Someone whose job or nature requires containment. Not just anyone who makes you feel emotionally seen for 10 minutes. There is a difference between being witnessed and being protected. The modern world confuses the two constantly. It tells you that the more you reveal, the more real you are. But exposure without discernment is not maturity. It is risk. So no, you do not need to parade your wounds to prove your humanity. You do not need to explain every scar to be worthy of connection. You do not need to let people inside unfinished pain. Become the kind of person who can say, with calm honesty, I'm working through something, without handing over the full map. Become the kind of person who does not deny suffering, but also does not outsource it carelessly. Because the strongest people are not the ones who never hurt. They are the ones who learn where pain belongs. And the wrong room is never the right place for your deepest fracture. 3. Never broadcast your income. Money changes more than your standard of living. It changes the invisible mathematics in other people's minds. The moment people believe they know what you make, they stop relating to you with innocence. Now there is comparison. Now there is projection. Now there is expectation. Now there is quiet resentment forming in corners you cannot see. This is why real power around money is often quiet. Not because wealth itself is shameful. Because once numbers enter the social field, people begin rewriting the relationship. You may think you are just sharing success. What many people hear is hierarchy, or opportunity, or access, or obligation. And then the games begin. A friend starts asking for help, but what he really wants is subsidy. A family member starts calling more, but the conversations slowly bend toward what you can do for them. A romantic partner starts measuring your role through what you provide instead of who you are. Co-workers begin watching you differently. Not always because they hate you, sometimes because your progress activates something unresolved in them. One of the ugliest truths about money is that it does not simply attract admiration. It attracts interpretation. If you earn less than people expect, some will quietly downgrade you. If you earn more than people expect, some will feel entitled to a portion of your peace. Either way, disclosure often creates pressure that did not exist before. Let's make it real. You tell an old friend that this was your first six-figure year. He grins wide. He says all the right things. He congratulates you. Maybe he even says he's proud of you. But within days, the energy shifts. Now there are little asks. A temporary loan. An investment pitch. A favor that assumes margin. And if you hesitate, the mood changes. Not because you did anything wrong, but because the fantasy they built around your resources no longer matches what they can access. Or maybe it happens at home. You become the one who made it. Now every family crisis curves toward you. Every financial hole becomes your moral test. Every boundary sounds selfish. Every refusal sounds arrogant. And this happens fast. Not because the people around you are monsters, but because money awakens need, insecurity, and comparison in ways few people know how to handle cleanly. The Stoic lens here is useful. Status, comfort, and wealth are externals. Useful, yes. Powerful, yes. But not wise to flaunt. The Stoic is not impressed by appearances because appearances attract unstable reactions. He values freedom more than exhibition. Machiavelli would look at the same situation and say something colder: never display a weapon before you understand the field. Money is a weapon in modern life. It buys mobility. It buys time. It buys options. It buys escape from bad environments and access to better ones. Why would you reveal the full extent of your range to people who have not shown they can remain balanced in your growth? There is also another layer people do not talk about enough. When you reveal your income, you make yourself legible. Once you are legible, others know how to calibrate their behavior. They know whether to flatter you, resent you, use you, compete with you, or dismiss you. Mystery disappears. And with mystery, part of your leverage disappears too. That is why truly secure people often say less. They do not need to broadcast worth. They do not need the room to know their numbers. They let people guess wrong. They let underestimation work in their favor. They do not confuse visibility with power. Especially in American culture, where financial performance is often tied to identity, this matters more than people realize. The more loudly you narrate success, the more you tempt jealousy from people who were comfortable with you only when you were still equal to them, or beneath them. So protect your income. You do not need to lie. You do not need to play small. You do not need to apologize for what you built. But you also do not need to announce it. Let your standards speak. Let your discipline show. Let your lifestyle remain measured. Let people wonder. Because once people stop being able to calculate you, they lose one of the easiest ways to manipulate your position in their minds. And that silence is worth more than most people understand. 4. Never make your relationship conflicts public entertainment. There are few things that strip a person of quiet power faster than public emotional leakage. A relationship is already complicated enough when only two people are inside it. The moment conflict leaves that private space and becomes material for group chats, social media captions, late-night vent sessions, or casual public storytelling, the energy changes. Now it is not just pain. Now it is narrative. Now it is spectacle. Now outsiders are consuming something sacred from a distance and building opinions that will remain long after the conflict itself is gone. This is one of the most common ways people surrender dignity without noticing. They feel hurt. They feel confused. They want comfort. So they start talking. At first it feels natural. I just need to get this off my chest. And maybe that part is true. But once you begin exposing the details of your romantic instability to people who cannot hold it with wisdom, you are no longer just expressing emotion. You are training an audience to associate you with chaos. Think about how often this happens now. A man has a fight with his partner, and by morning several friends know intimate details they should never have been invited into. A woman feels unseen, so she posts something cryptic that everyone around her knows is aimed at one person. A couple breaks trust, and instead of dealing with the wound directly, one of them turns the entire thing into content, commentary, or social proof. What started as pain becomes public texture. And once people taste that texture, they rarely forget it. This is where the Machiavellian lens becomes uncomfortable but useful. People do not only respond to your relationship stories with compassion. Some respond with curiosity. Some with superiority. Some with strategic interest. Some begin to see where your focus is weak, where your loneliness is sharpest, where your emotional dependence can be exploited. Some do not even realize they are doing it, but the psychological shift still happens. You tell them your partner disrespected you. Now they see a crack. You tell them your partner cheated and you stayed. Now they rewrite your image in their mind. You tell them you are constantly anxious in love. Now they know where your frame collapses. And once that image settles, respect changes. Not always because people are cruel. Sometimes because public instability changes how others measure your center. The Stoic answer is not repression. It is containment. What is sacred should be treated as sacred. If a relationship is worth protecting, protect its dignity. If it is broken beyond repair, leave with dignity. But do not turn your heartbreak into casual entertainment for people who will never help carry the consequence. This matters in practical life more than people admit. At work, relationship chaos follows you through energy. People notice distraction. They notice inconsistency. They notice when your emotional state becomes the loudest thing about you. In friend groups, once your private conflict becomes public knowledge, others often stop seeing you as centered. They may still like you. They may still support you. But something subtle changes. Your emotional life begins to overshadow your authority. There is also a deeper problem. Once you tell your side of a relationship conflict too many times, you begin hardening around the story. You are no longer processing reality. You are defending a version of events that keeps your ego coherent. That makes resolution harder. That makes self-examination weaker. That makes healing slower. So what should you do when the pain is real? Do not isolate. But choose elevation over exposure. If you need counsel, go upward. Go to someone wiser, steadier, less reactive, less hungry for drama. Go to someone whose advice is not contaminated by gossip culture. Go to someone who understands responsibility, not just outrage. Because once the battlefield becomes public, too many spectators start pretending they are generals. And most of them are children with opinions. Protect the bond if it deserves protection. Protect yourself if it does not. But never hand the crowd a front row seat to your emotional fracture. People rarely forget the image of you bleeding. Even when you heal, some will keep relating to the version of you they watched unravel. That is why silence, here, is not weakness. It is governance. It is the refusal to let your most intimate instability become someone else's small talk. 5. Never scatter your family problems into the world. Family pain has a different weight to it. It reaches deep. It shapes identity. It often explains things about us that even we do not fully understand. And because of that, when people are carrying family wounds, they often feel a powerful urge to speak them out loud. Not for attention. For relief. For validation. For the hope that someone will finally say, "That should not have happened to you." That hunger is human. But it is also dangerous when directed toward the wrong audience. The problem with revealing family dysfunction too casually is that people rarely receive it as cleanly as you hope. They do not just hear what happened. They begin linking it to who you are. They start attaching your background to your stability, your judgment, your future, your leadership, your trustworthiness. Even when they sound sympathetic, they are often building a framework around you. And once that framework hardens, it is difficult to undo. Maybe you tell coworkers that your father disappeared in and out of your life. Or that addiction tore through your home. Or that betrayal, violence, chaos, or emotional neglect shaped your childhood. You say it because the moment felt safe. Because they asked how you were doing. Because part of you wanted to stop pretending. And maybe for a second it feels lighter. But later, when opportunities rise, you start noticing something. They do not say it openly, but their image of you has changed. Now you are not just competent. You are the one from a difficult background. Now you are not just focused. You are the one with all that family stuff. Now your story starts entering rooms before your skill does. That is a dangerous shift. The Stoic path does not deny suffering. It refuses to become possessed by it. Marcus Aurelius understood that what we rehearse inwardly colors the whole mind. And when family pain becomes a repeated public script, it often stops functioning like truth and starts functioning like identity. You are no longer simply someone who endured chaos. You become, in the social imagination, an extension of that chaos. Machiavelli would notice another layer. He would see how family dysfunction lowers your perceived position if it is offered too freely. Not because the pain itself makes you lesser, but because pity destabilizes authority. Once people place you in the category of damaged, fragile, or burdened by the past, they often stop receiving you with full seriousness. They may feel compassion. But compassion without respect is a dangerous exchange. And the world gossips more than it heals. That is simply the truth. People package your pain as concern. They repeat it under the language of care. They tell others they are worried about you, while subtly enjoying the social position of being the one who knows your private wounds. Your story grows legs. It moves without your control. And the next time your name comes up, what leads the conversation may not be your discipline, your intelligence, or your progress. It may be your dysfunction. This is why family wounds require reverence. Not theatrical secrecy. Reverence. They deserve thoughtful handling. They deserve context. They deserve safe spaces. They deserve real healing, not social circulation. You can be honest about where you came from without making your inner history public property. You can acknowledge pain without offering strangers the architecture of your house. You can heal in a way that does not require your personal history to become other people's lens for interpreting everything you do. For the American audience especially, this matters because the culture constantly encourages storytelling as identity. You are told to package your struggle. Monetize it. Brand it. Tell your trauma arc, make your pain part of your social signature. And while there is a place for testimony, there is also danger in turning your deepest family scars into recurring public language before they have become wisdom inside you. Speak where healing is possible. Stay quiet where consumption is more likely than care. That distinction will save you years of regret. Because your family history may explain parts of your life. But it should never be handed so loosely to people who have done nothing to prove they can separate your origin from your worth. 6. Never publicize your long-term vision before it has structure. There is something seductive about talking about the future version of yourself. The business you want to build. The body you plan to create. The standards you're raising. The city you want to move to. The wealth you intend to generate. The man or woman you are trying to become 5 years from now. It feels inspiring to say it out loud. Sometimes it even feels like courage. But one of the most underdiscussed traps in personal growth is this: verbalizing a long-term vision too early can trick your nervous system into feeling progress that has not been earned. You say the thing. People react. They admire the ambition. They encourage the dream. And your brain receives a small emotional reward. A little hit of significance. A little sense that something has already started moving. But often, nothing has moved. The system is not built. The habits are not stable. The execution is not consistent. The sacrifice has not yet been made. This is one reason so many promising people stay stuck. They feed the fantasy socially and starve the mission privately. The Stoics would call you back to substance. What matters is not the image of future greatness, but the discipline of present action. A vision means little if it is not protected by restraint. A mission means little if it is constantly exposed to random opinions before it has bones. Machiavelli would add a harder edge. The less others know about the full scale of your long game, the less they can prepare themselves psychologically against it. Mystery preserves initiative. Visibility invites reaction. And once people understand how far you plan to go, some of them will start working, consciously or unconsciously, to keep you emotionally proportionate to the version of you they already understand. This happens all the time. You start aiming beyond your environment. You think bigger than your circle. You develop taste, patience, ambition, and standards that no longer fit the room you came from. And the people around you start saying small things. Not always with open hostility. Sometimes with a laugh. Sometimes with fake realism. Sometimes with concern. That's a little extreme, don't you think? Why not just be content? Why do you always have to push so hard? Who do you think you are? That last question is the real one. Because when you expand, insecure people experience your future as a threat to the story they had about you. And if you reveal too much too soon, you give them too much material to react to. A man trying to build something significant should guard his long-term vision like a blueprint in a vault. Not because the vision is fragile in essence, but because the mind sustaining it still lives in a world full of noise. You do not need 10 opinions on a mission that only requires one clear commitment from you. This is especially important in a culture obsessed with goals as performance. Public declarations have become a substitute for internal seriousness. People post intentions the way they should be building habits. They narrate transformation instead of undergoing it. They sell the trailer before the film exists. And then they wonder why the inner fire starts fading. Here is part of the answer: because the social reward came too early. You cashed emotional recognition before discipline had compound interest. And once recognition arrives prematurely, many people lose the private hunger needed to keep going when nobody is clapping. So stop confusing applause with advancement. Stop mistaking visibility for momentum. Stop offering your long-term blueprint to people who have no role in construction. Build systems. Build resilience. Build evidence. Let the future remain mostly unseen until it has enough force to survive contact with other people's doubt. When the result appears, people will ask where it came from. Good. Let them ask. Let your silence become part of the weight of what you built. Let them realize that while they were talking, you were laying brick. That is how real change enters the world. Quietly first. Then all at once. 7. Never turn your deepest regrets into public confession. This is the one that breaks many people without them realizing it. Because regret is heavy. Regret wants air. Regret wants witness. Regret wants someone else to help carry its weight, if only for a moment. And when people are tired, lonely, ashamed, or trying to build intimacy quickly, they often reveal the thing they most wish they could erase. The mistake. The moral failure. The season they are not proud of. The version of themselves they have worked hard to outgrow. They do it because they want to feel lighter. They want to feel known. They want someone to say, "That doesn't define you." And sometimes, in the right setting, that kind of confession can become part of genuine healing. But too often, it is given to people who do not know how to hold it cleanly. And then the regret never really dies in their eyes. It freezes. It becomes proof. This is what hurts. You may grow beyond your past. You may change your habits, your standards, your mind, your spirit. You may become radically different from who you were 5 years ago. But the moment you hand someone your deepest regret, you lose control over the version of you they keep archived. Now, whenever tension rises, they can return to it. Whenever you set boundaries, they can mentally reduce you to it. Whenever you succeed, they can use it to remind themselves that you were once smaller, weaker, more compromised, more broken. Maybe you once tolerated humiliation in love. Maybe you betrayed your own values chasing attention. Maybe you ruined money, trust, friendship, health, or years of your life in a season you would never repeat. And now, after discipline and pain and growth, you are trying to live differently. You are stronger now. More stable. More awake. Then one night, in an intimate conversation, you tell someone everything. The whole story. How far you fell. How ashamed you were. How badly you lost yourself. They look at you tenderly. They tell you it's okay. And maybe in that moment it feels like closeness. But later, maybe weeks or months later, conflict enters the picture. And suddenly the past returns, not as context, but as a weapon. Not as understanding, but as reduction. That is a devastating lesson. Not because your regret is unforgivable. Because you placed it in an unworthy archive. The Stoic task is not to deny the past. It is to metabolize it. To convert pain into discipline. To let regret sharpen conduct without turning it into identity theater. A man does not have to constantly explain what he survived in order for growth to be real. He only has to live in a way that proves the lesson was integrated. Machiavelli would say it more harshly. Do not arm others with evidence of where you once lacked command. Because in a competitive world, people reach for whatever lowers your status when they feel threatened by your rise. Your past is especially useful for that. It lets them shrink your present by dragging old ghosts into the room. This is why some of the deepest work must remain private. Write it. Pray it. Confess it where wisdom is protected. Bring it to God, to the page, to a trained guide, to the kind of place built for transformation. But do not mistake casual openness for liberation. Not everyone asking about your past deserves to touch it. There is also a spiritual dimension here. Many people confess regret because they want emotional absolution from another human being. They want someone else to release them. But true freedom does not come from becoming fully explained. It comes from becoming inwardly ordered. It comes from no longer needing your worst chapter to be socially processed every time you want to feel close to someone. Carry the lesson. Do not circulate the wound. Carry the standard. Do not rehearse the shame. Let the regret deepen your character, your restraint, your discernment, your reverence for consequence. But do not give it away so cheaply that one bitter moment from another person can drag it back into the light and stain your present. Your biggest regret should become architecture, not performance. Foundation, not confession. Fuel, not theater. And when you learn that, something shifts. The past stops controlling the room. Because you stopped handing it a microphone. What silence really protects. So let's gather the lesson clearly. There are 7 things you should guard with far more discipline than most people do. Your next move. Your weakness. Your income. Your relationship conflicts. Your family problems. Your long-term goals. And your deepest regrets. Not because secrecy is always noble. Not because everybody around you is evil. Not because you should walk through life numb, suspicious, and unreachable. but because information is never neutral once it enters the social world. People place meaning on it. They react to it according to their fears, insecurities, appetites, and ambitions. And if you do not protect what is still sacred, unfinished, or vulnerable, you often discover too late that what felt like connection was actually exposure. The Stoic lesson is inward. Govern yourself. Do not be ruled by the impulse to explain, confess, broadcast, or seek relief through uncontrolled disclosure. Cultivate an inner life strong enough to hold what does not yet need to be spoken. The Machiavellian lesson is outward. Understand the theater you are living in. Not everyone listening is listening like a friend. Not everyone asking is asking with clean motives. Not everyone comforting you has earned access to the rooms inside you. Put these together and you arrive at something powerful. Privacy is not fear. It is discernment. It is strategic dignity. It is the discipline of refusing to let the world touch what has not yet hardened into strength. If you are in a season of building, let this stay with you. You do not owe people a live broadcast of your becoming. You do not owe them access to every wound. You do not owe them explanations for every shift in your standards. You do not owe them the map. You owe yourself stewardship. You owe yourself boundaries. You owe yourself the chance to develop without interruption. And maybe that is the real edge today. Not louder branding. Not more confession. Not endless transparency. But the ability to remain grounded, clear, and partially unseen in a culture that constantly pressures you to expose yourself for approval. That kind of silence is not emptiness. It is form. It is force. It is self-command. If this hits something real in you, don't just agree with it intellectually. Look at your own life. Where have you been speaking too early? Where have you been looking for understanding in rooms that were never qualified to hold your truth? Where have you been handing people parts of your story they did not earn? You do not have to become hard in the shallow sense. You do not have to become cruel. You do not have to stop feeling. But you do need to become harder to access carelessly. More disciplined with disclosure. More respectful of what is still forming in private. That shift alone can save your momentum, your peace, your reputation, and in some cases, your future. If this message gave language to something you've already lived, write this in the comments. Silence protects what power is building. And tell me this too. Which of the 7 do you think people ruin most often? Their next move? Their weakness? Or their long-term goals? If this kind of stoic clarity with a darker psychological edge is what you come here for, subscribe and stay close. This channel is not built to soothe your illusions. It is built to sharpen your sight. And I'll see you in the next one.